relatively speaking. Last few months was difficult. I don't know. Do you want to live to be that old? Bedridden? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. When you lose, one of the greatest fears the elderly have. You want to know what it is? And I've seen surveys. I've looked at the conversations with the elderly. Not being able to walk, being non-ambulant, not being able to get around. And ironically, when you go into a nursing home, the first thing you notice is the army of wheelchairs everywhere. Being able to walk gives the person a sense of control, being able to fend for yourself, so to speak. Would you want to live that long?
No.
I don't think you and I need to worry about that.
I always think about that movie Scent of a Woman.
Oh, yes, with Al Pacino. Al Pacino. We come back. There's a few other stories trending. Anybody show up for us today?
Nope, just us.
Okay, and you sitting there watching, listening, wherever you are. We'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. It's
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by today. Okay, so you can't make this up. There is this basketball player. His name is Enes Kanter. He's a big dude. He plays for the New York Knicks. And he eats a lot of calories because they burn a lot of calories. So he decides that he's going to have a cheat day. Remember what I always say about cheat days?
No cheat days.
No cheat days. Most of the time, he says that he eats healthy. You know, lean protein foods and whatnot. He eats starches. He likes potatoes. You know, good. Occasionally, he said he indulges himself in a cheat day. Wednesday was one of those days for Mr. Kanter. He's 26 years old, strapping young man, athlete. Well, he got taken out of the game, so to speak. Not by a block from another basketball player. That didn't do it to him. That wasn't it. What it was, he decides that he's going to eat 3 triple patty burgers with eggs on them and 4 additional burgers and a plate of fries. 3 triple patty burgers with eggs on the burgers, and then 4 additional, plain old burgers and a plate of fries. That's a lot of food. I don't know what that looks like on a table, but that's got to be a lot of food. Well,
there it is.
That's it. There it is. Oh, my. Holy cow. Well, it made him so sick, he couldn't make it to practice. It took him out. He got sick. He left. He had to leave practice because of the food. Scarfed down 7 burgers, 3 eggs, a plate of fries Wednesday night. So much for cheating, Mr. Kanter. Don't do it. He has the right idea about, he needs a lot of calories. So do swimmers. Olympic swimmers, not uncommon for them to burn 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And they struggle with food. They can't. They're trying to eat food that's high in calories, but they'll eat junk food. They'll eat anything to get the calories. A calorie, in terms of energy, it's a calorie, but yeah. So there you go. Even a sick, I don't know how tall he is. He's got to be huge. He's a big guy, man. He looks healthy. He's 26 years old. He got taken out by junk food. I'm just saying. Don't do it. Where's the nutritionist for that team? How come nobody's talking to that boy? That's.
I always thought that pro athletic teams should have 2 people on there. A nutritionist to teach them how to eat properly.
They usually hire dietitians.
Okay.
So there's a distinction between nutritionists and dietitians. They're always at each other's throats, those 2 groups. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, the reason is because I used to work the hotels that the visiting team always stayed at for the football.
When you were a police officer.
Right. And one of my favorites was always the New Orleans Saints.
Why?
Because no matter what you did, at the end of the night, the guy would tip you. The owner of the team. And it was usually was a big bill, big face Benjamin, as they say. And but the next morning, you always got to go to breakfast with them. And the breakfast, Doc, this probably about 3 of these tables, just full of breakfast stuff.
They're athletes. They eat like crazy.
And then the other person I always thought they should hire was somebody that would stick with the new rookies that come on and make sure they didn't do anything stupid. And almost like a babysitter,
Well, that's a shame that they would even have to do that. But junk food is making its way around the world. There was a story trending in the New York Times. Headline on it was, "How chummy are junk food giants and China's health officials?" Uh-oh. Happy 10 Minutes, a government campaign that encouraged school children to exercise for 10 minutes a day. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Improving public health in the nation. They are struggling in China with childhood obesity. First of all, I got a news bulletin for them. That 10 minutes a day for these kids to exercise isn't going to do much to change the status of the obesity epidemic there. Exercise is not a good predictor for weight loss. It's just not. It has to be done primarily through diet. That's the truth. So that would be if they were to hire me as a consultant, that would be my first piece of advice. Okay, good. But don't think for 1 minute that having these kids exercise for 10 minutes, which is no big deal, is going to turn the tide. No, it's not. When we come back, I'll tell you more about this. These companies, they're like, listen, they're looking for a large market. How many millions of people live in China, India, and these countries? These food companies aren't stupid. And cigarette companies and beer and alcohol companies. We're importing all of our nutritional sins and vices into these cultures. That's a shame.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Clear Lungs is a unique Chinese herbal formula designed to help keep airways free of phlegm and mucus while supporting clear lungs and free breathing. Clear Lungs has been the #1 natural lung health product in the United States since 1998.
So Clear Lungs is our staple product. It is the #1 natural lung decongestant in the US, and it has been for over 10 years. And so we know that we have a really key product, and we know that we have a product that essentially works. And so we know that obviously if somebody wants to take our product, we're really big about 100% money back guarantee and satisfaction of that product.
If a company or somebody doesn't know who we are, then we tell them we're the makers of Clear Lungs, and they, more often than not, everybody says, "Oh yeah, we know who you are." And a majority of health food stores carry that product.
This formula is used kind of across the world as being a really good lung decongestant and a lung supporter. We have 4 different formulas. We started with the original formula, which is, we like to call it the red label, Clear Lungs Regular or Clear Lungs Original Strength. And the extra strength has the same formulation as the red label, but it's in a slightly larger capsule, so you're going to find a little bit more herbs in there, and there's going to be homeopathics added to that. So you get a quick healing response from those. And the Clear Lungs Blue Label is only meant to be taken for short durations at a time, no longer than 6 months. If you're going to take it longer than that, then you could switch over to the red label.
Then we make a liquid. Liquid, of course, is for 1, people that can't swallow pills, and 2, for children. That liquid also has the homeopathics added to it. And then the last in the family is our newest, which is the Clear Lungs Chest Rub.
And the chest rub is designed for all ages. So if you tend to have a lot of chest congestion, or if you tend to have blocked up sinuses, this is really good formulation for that. So another question that we also get asked a lot is, well, can I take the formulas together? Can I take the liquid and the capsules? Absolutely. Can I do the chest rub in the liquid or the chest rub in the capsules? Absolutely, no problem. You could intertwine them if necessary. Breathing, it's just a natural part of life. And so obviously we can't see toxins in the air. So we know that obviously if you live in a heavily polluted environment, or if you're around chemical factories, or if you're around secondhand smoke a lot, anything that we represent as being a burden to the lungs, we know that Clear Lungs is there for that individual.
We make it safe, we make it effective, we do the testing on it, so it's brought into 13 herbs that are perfectly balanced.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, the 2019 edition. I'm going to report now on a story about a study in the British Medical Journal. The title of the study is Making China Safe for Coke. How Coca-Cola shaped the obesity, the science and policy in China, shaped obesity science and policy in China. This is unbelievable. I opened up telling you about the story in the New York Times. They're reporting on it. So China has this program. It's called Happy 10 Minutes. Coca-Cola apparently convinced them that exercise was a good way and the best way to lose weight. The initiative, they said, and other Chinese officials, Chinese efforts that emphasize exercise as the best way to lose weight were notable for what they didn't mention, they said in the New York Times. The importance of cutting back on calorie-laden junk foods and sugary beverages that have become ubiquitous in the world's second largest economy, close quote. This is I'm all for doing clinical trials. We need to do that. Sign me up. But you know what? This is some of the best evidence. As lawyers always say, I want the best evidence. What's the best evidence that sugary drinks and these junk foods are the centerpiece for this obesity epidemic? This evidence is compelling. These food companies, beverage companies, and the like are importing their products, and shaping the government policies on health and food in these countries. You know, it's not about the money, but it's always about the money. Chinese's best message, as it happens, has largely been the handiwork of Coca-Cola and other Western food and beverage giants, the New York Times reported. This is according to a pair of studies that document how these companies have shaped decades of Chinese science and public policy on obesity and diet-related illness, such as type 2 diabetes and hypertension. Listen to me. Food has consequences. Food has consequences. You don't need to be a nutritionist, a dietitian, a public health official, or work for some government agency to know that. Food has consequences. China is an ancient culture. They prided themselves on thousands of years of unique ideas regarding herbs and food and eating healthy. The West looked to China for insight on how to do that. We've done that for decades and hundreds of years probably. And now the West is deconstructing these cultures, the health of these cultures, the people, and contaminating the food culture with these highly processed, nutritionally vacuous foods. It wouldn't be so bad if all would happen if the people ate the food, they gained weight. But it's more than that. What correlates with these foods being introduced and imported into these cultures, such as China, cancer rates go up, heart disease rates go up, metabolic dysfunction type diseases like diabetes, metabolic syndrome, cognitive dysfunction increases. People living shorter lives with less quality of life happens. Food has consequences. This is outrageous when you think about it. And the Chinese government, which is a communist government, allowed Coca-Cola to come in, and I don't know what deal they struck, what bargain was hatched in some conference room in some Chinese office building somewhere. I have no clue. But the food culture in China is now a Coca-Cola culture in a real sense. This is crazy. Why did they move to China? Because the market for sugary drinks is shrinking in our culture, in our country. It's always about the money. And these food scientists, I don't know how they justify it. These are PhDs, medical researchers. They're nutritionists, dietitians. When you look at that army of scientists that these food companies and beverage companies have, my God, the accumulated and collective amount of education and insight is frightening, and they use it in a way that is killing people. Let me be clear. Oh, it's just a soft drink. And they deny up and down every day of the week 365 days a year, that sugary drinks have nothing to do with the obesity epidemic. That's a lie. It's a lie. And I invite any of them to come on to this show and debate me anytime. You're lying. Makes me mad because these children in these cultures are innocent victims. It's not just a soft drink. It's not just a burger, and it's not just a bag of fries. It's destiny. These kids are growing up in these cultures, just like in our culture, being overweight and obese with adult diseases as children and taking adult medications for heart disease and high blood pressure. It's crazy. Taking cholesterol medications and high blood pressure medications. They're not, some of these kids are not even teenagers. And these companies are complicit. I'll be back. story about a study in BMJ, the British Medical Journal, Making China Safe for Coke, how Coca-Cola shaped obesity science and policy in China. I just want to share this. I just have to tell you this. When I say food has consequences, we are caught up in a horrible obesity epidemic in this country. We're not the only country. China is maybe even worse. I'm going to turn my attention. I'll toggle back and forth between the New York Times article reporting on the study, and I want to read some passages to you from the study itself. It's quite remarkable. These researchers did an unbelievable job in uncovering this. Let me just quote now from the beginning of the piece of the article. Ever since 2001, when the U.S. Surgeon General called on Americans to fight the newly named epidemic of obesity, the soft drink industry has had a target on its back. Recent investigations have shown how it is fighting back, from blocking New York City's ban on large drink sizes to lobbying against soda restrictions and funding exercise specialists to promote physical activity as the best solution to obesity, which is a lie. These are my words. That is I invite any executive from Coca-Cola to come on to this show and let me interview him or her, and you tell me, you can come into the studio with a straight face and you tell me that exercise is the best way to lose weight, and I will tell you to that person's face, you're a liar. It is not the best way to lose weight. There is a galaxy of research that tells me that. That's not just my opinion. That's the science of weight loss. Exercise is not a good predictor. And Coca-Cola and all these other food companies are promoting that nonsense with these government officials. And whether they know it or not, or don't care or whatever, I don't know what the financial arrangement is, they're buying into it. No pun intended. Going back to the article. Big Soda has been defending its interest, yet with U.S. soda sales plummeting, the industry is losing the battle. Well, I'm glad. Continuing in the study, as the U.S. market shrinks, the industry has set its eyes on the global South, especially rapidly developing countries like China, with vast undeveloped markets for products associated with modernity and the American way of life. Oh, this is disgraceful. Until recently, China's hyper-marketized political economy and pro-Western culture have enabled some multinational firms, especially politically well-connected ones, to manage the risks and restrictions and prosper. The researchers for the article say this is particularly true for Big Soda's largest and most famous brand, Coca-Cola. China is now Coke's third largest market by volume, and with its vast population, huge potential remains, making it, quote, critically important to the future growth of our business, according to former Coke chief executive Muhtar Kent. But Coke's recipe for success in China relies on more than cultivating political relationships and strategic localization of products and marketing. Through a complex web of institutional, financial, and personal links, Coke has been able to influence China's health policies. The company has cleverly maneuvered itself into a position of behind-the-scenes power that ensures that the government policy to fight the growing obesity epidemic does not undermine its interests, Coke's. It's done this by leveraging the Chinese branch of an organization it created to advance its interest around the world. The organization has a fancy name. It's called the International Life Sciences Institute. Sounds kind of wholesome, doesn't it? It was set up by Coke executives 40 years ago in the United States, is housed within the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention. a unit of the government health ministry. The staff of the industry-funded ILSI, this Life Sciences Institute, have unparalleled access to government officials, and the organization established itself as a premier scientific body capable of providing access to the best that Western science has to offer, close quote. This borders on being amoral. Every one of those this reminds me of tobacco companies, and I'll never forget that long board. All those executives from the tobacco companies were in front of a congressional committee. I don't know how many were in the room that day, sitting at that table, and one of the senators asked each and every one of them, "Does smoking cause cancer?" or some such question, and every one of them said no, and they were lying under oath. They should have gone to jail. When you lie to Congress, that's a federal offense. And they're lying now. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's unprincipled. And it's harming the health of our nation, as well as these other nations. It's destroying the lives of some of these kids. 25% of kids in our culture are overweight or obese. 17% of these kids are obese. It's not genetic. It's food, and it's junk food and sugary drinks that are being served up. And this cock and bull story that they put together, that exercise is the best way to lose weight, that's a lie. I'll say it again. And I invite any one of them to come onto this show and challenge me. You can try to stream that rubbish in front of corrupt government officials, but it's not going to work here. And I've told this audience for 14 years, if you want to lose weight, don't just do it. Exercise is not going to get you there. You can't just exercise and keep eating the way you're eating and expect to lose weight. It's not going to happen. I've been saying that 14 years. I've been saying that. And I'm not the only one that knows this. This is not some secret. I get so worked up about this because it's people's lives. It's not just statistics. These kids, they're innocent victims. And you say, well, it's China. It's none of our business. It is our business. It's our business when people are going to suffer, and we are complicit in that suffering.
Anxiety Free is a powerful formula for the relief of anxiety and stress, designed to increase feelings of well-being, build resistance to fatigue and tension, counteract stress, and reduce irritability.
Anxiety Free, when we built it, it was important to us that we not only helped people with their anxiety as they see it, but also support the body in the damage that can happen from the nervous system being run too hard.
Anxiety Free is more for the individual that has a lot of pressure coming down on them. So if they tend to have a lot of fear, worry, apprehension, anxiety, obviously, then Anxiety Free is more for that individual. This is another classic example of helping to feed the adrenal glands, because again, if you're under constant stress, whether that be physically, emotionally, if you're just constantly work, and then at home you just want to crash, you get a full 8 hours of sleep, then you wake up and you're still tired, that's a reason to help support the adrenal glands.
When you look at anxiety and how it impacts your body, there's a couple of things that happen. One is, of course, you don't feel as good. And the reason why that is because you release a lot of adrenaline, you release a lot of cortisol, you're worrying, you don't feel as good. When we built Anxiety Free, it was important that we nourish the nervous system, and then we use some key herbs that are really precious in Ayurvedic medicine, meaning that they're from India. Holy basil is one of those, and then ashwagandha.
These are really classic supporters and critical supporters of the adrenal glands, and they're adaptogens. They help the body adapt to whatever situation it's under. So if you're under a lot of pressure, if you're under a lot of stress, ashwagandha and holy basil are kind of there to help support that individual. We have the B vitamins in there. We have the mental support, which is the GABA and L-theanine. And L-theanine, you could also find it in per se green tea. And then from that, we also have the calming herbs, the lavender, lemon balm, passion flower. These are really, really good to help support the nerves.
Your health's going to be better because you didn't have this elevated stress as high as it would have been without the help of these herbs and vitamins and amino acids that help your body deal with stress and anxiety.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2019 edition of LTN. Speaking truth to power. Just feel, I don't know how many days I have left on this planet, but I'm not going to spend them sitting quietly by when I have a platform and watch Coca-Cola, Nestle, and all these other big companies contaminate this culture with terrible food and then import those foods into other cultures and making people sick. Welcome to the show. Makes me mad. It's wrong. It's immoral. It's unprincipled. There's many things I could call it. There's a study in the British Medical Journal. It's outstanding. It lays out in great detail how these food companies are infiltrating other cultures in other countries and selling them a bill of goods about obesity that is a lie. Coca-Cola and others are telling these countries, these government officials in other countries, that exercise is the way to get the obesity epidemic under control. There's an obesity epidemic because they put the junk food in the culture. To begin with, these American companies. And then they lie to the officials as to how to curb the tide of the epidemic and telling them this nonsense about exercise being the best way to lose weight. It is not. This study is entitled, in case you want, you can find it online, Making China Safe for Coke. How Coca-Cola shaped the science of obesity and and policy in China. Obesity, science, and policy in China. And boy, have they ever. It's remarkable with these. I mean, these researchers are like journalists here. And in the article, they even provide a schematic of how how Coca-Cola and others, I guess, have worked their way into the culture and what's going on there. They got this bogus program, Happy 10, where the kids are supposed to exercise for 10 minutes, and that's supposed to get them to lose weight. Well, I'll become an astronaut before that happens. I'm going to tell you more about this. If you'd like to chime in, and you say, well, why would I care about China? I can't, because it's not just about China. It's about us. That's what they did in our culture. They're like the kid in the neighborhood that comes to your house, plays with your toys and breaks them, and then leaves. And that's what these food companies are doing. They're breaking the health of our children. And I'm dead serious about this. They are. And for them to say with a straight face that sugary drinks, burgers and fries and whatnot don't get people sick and don't make people fat and don't get, are not at the center of the obesity epidemic, how they can do that and sleep at night, I don't know. I hope they enjoy that paycheck that they get. Here's how to connect.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko@letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition, where everything is closed captioned and it's archived by date at Let's Talk Nutrition on YouTube.
Much more I will tell you about what's in this study is unbelievable. Let's go to Tampa, Florida. Bill, welcome to the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Doctor, but I want to keep up this theme of being angry because, I mean, I am just so angry, and all these commercials, all these little happy faces and so forth, and, you know, go to Sam Selters and eat a 50-pound, and the kids here and there. It's not a happy thing. It's death. It's pure death. You know, I went into I'm just going to say a Whole Foods the other day, and I saw her carrying this giant plastic bag, this long cylinder bag. And I said, what was that? Oh, that's the soup. We get it from California, then we microwave it here. I was pissed. I mean, do you know that the Germans were using microwaves on foods back in the day, and those troops were getting sick? I mean, can't eat. I spend a blanking fortune on food, and I find out it's just a bunch of microwave in a plastic bag.
Well, I can tell you something, and the truth be told, the microwaving of food is the least of our worries in this food culture, Bill. These foods, these junk, you know, I don't know what these health food stores are doing. I don't know how they do their business. I don't have an insight into any of that too much, but I do know what their campaign is in getting these fast foods in. They have been losing the battle. The soft drink companies have been losing the battle in our country, so they've moved to these other markets throughout the world that are more vulnerable. And I get what you're saying about, you know, you would think, well, maybe these soups are even homemade or made from scratch or whatever, but I guess they're not, right?
Yeah, and then you have the companies that try to perpetrate these lies and call things for kids trail mixes and natural goodies for pots and things. I mean, look at the ingredients. It's like you said earlier, nobody seems to care. This is our food. This is everything to us. I mean, it's getting to the point of being, it's a fight. It's like a battle.
Right. I mean, it's our food. It's our life. You're absolutely right. And I keep saying food has consequences, and food is not just food. The quality of food, how much food has an effect on, the science of nutrigenomics, the interaction between nutrition and genes, food and genes. And, you know, these foods promote disease. They promote disease, and they make the health of children and adults at any age just so vulnerable. I was telling Gary, we often use the word unhealthy. These are unhealthy foods. No, they're dangerous foods. They're not just unhealthy, they're dangerous. And you're right. The food is our life, right, Bill?
This is all we got, Doc. And I tell you the truth, this morning I just didn't eat anything after that incident yesterday.
Makes you mad, huh?
Yeah, I'm mad, and I'm mad because, you know, there's guys like you who have fought that battle, and I'm also mad about, you know, a client told me yesterday, she said, you know, I did the C word and everything, and I'm going to the bank, and they send out the little thing and it's pink, and it has a pink ribbon on it. And she's like, this ain't no rite of passage here. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. I want to talk about how to prevent it. It's not some thing that we need to accept. We're accepting cancer into our society, and we need to get violently angry. There ain't no pink clubs. We want a green club.
I know. I hear you. I'm with you 100%. 100%. I understand. You know, and when we're sold a bill of goods, you know, when you buy something and you think that it's healthy, look, when you go into a fast food place, you know what you're getting. But when you go into a place where the food is supposed to be healthy and there's a backstory on it that makes the food suspect as to how healthy it really is, that makes you angry. People want to feel safe when they eat, you know, and you hear me report on all these, you know, these food episodes of food being contaminated, whether it's the ice cream, the romaine lettuce, the cereals, listeria, E. coli. It goes on and on. I appreciate your call. We come back, we'll continue our story, our show, and we invite you to join in. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. I will peel off that story for a bit about how Coca-Cola and these other food companies are infiltrating China and these India and other countries and selling them a bill of goods about their products and how they are contributing to the obesity epidemic, and then they're lying to them about how to curb the obesity epidemic. Can't make it up. But there's a study in the Lancet, that prestigious journal, about carbohydrate quality and human health. Fiber is a carbohydrate. I wonder how many people with their New Year's resolution had on there, eat more fiber. That should be on a resolution list. And what these researchers did was a series of systematic reviews and meta-analyses of prospective studies published from databases, from database inception to April 30th, 2017, and randomized controlled trials published from database inception to February 28, 2018, which reported on indicators of carbohydrate quality and non-communicable disease incidence, mortality, and risk factors. Okay, so what am I trying to tell you? What I'm telling you is these researchers searched PubMed, Ovid Medline, Embase, and Cochrane Central Registry of Controlled Trials for studies that looked at carbohydrate intake, in particular fiber, and as a marker for either health or ill health, right? Just under 135 million person years of data is what they had, and 185 prospective studies, and 58 clinical trials with 4,635 people in the study, in the analysis. That's what was included. The observational data suggest a 15 to 30% decrease in all-cause and cardiovascular-related mortality, and an incidence of coronary heart disease, stroke incidence, and mortality, type 2 diabetes, and colorectal cancer when comparing the highest dietary fiber consumers with the lowest ones. And what they found was risk reduction was associated with a range of critical outcomes was greater when daily intake of fiber was between 25 grams and 29 grams. The average, my review, a little review I did of the literature on how much fiber people consume, is somewhere around 10 to 15 grams, somewhere in there. This is remarkable. This study underscores, again, what I've been saying on this show for 14 years. You want to lose weight? Eat more fiber. You want better cardiovascular health? Eat more fiber. You want almost an instant improvement in your health, wellness, and well-being? Include more fiber in your day-to-day nutrition. This is not a secret. And fiber is a carbohydrate. It's a unique carbohydrate because it doesn't have very much energy, if any at all, and it doesn't get digested. So that's why there's no calories. It doesn't digest, which is ironic. And it doesn't have any micronutrients. There's no vitamin A and C and whatnot. You say, well, geez, why am I wasting my time eating fiber? Nutritionally, doesn't look like it would make any contribution. That's the paradox. It is a game changer. And it's boring to talk about, quite frankly. Talk about fiber. When I say fiber, people think of what? Going to the bathroom. That's what they think of. And of course, on the show, we've been trying to change that perception, trying to persuade people that it's not just about going to the bathroom. It's about your health. If you eat a high fiber diet, you will increase your chances of living longer. You will increase your chances of having better quality of life. You will increase your chances of just doing better and feeling better. There's no doubt about that. It's not my opinion. That's what the science tells us. This was a pretty remarkable study. Findings from prospective studies and clinical trials, they said, associated with relatively high intakes of dietary fiber and whole grains were complementary, and striking dose-response evidence indicates that the relationships to several non-communicable diseases could be causal, not just correlational. My goodness, right? Implementation of recommendations to increase dietary fiber intake and to replace refined grains with whole grains is expected to benefit human health, these researchers wrote. A major strength of the study was the ability to examine key indicators of carbohydrate quality in relation to range of non-communicable disease outcomes. Amazing. Fiber is a carbohydrate, but it is a very unique carbohydrate. And when we talk about eating a low carbohydrate diet, the carbohydrate that we should be referring to are the refined processed food products. Not the legumes, not the vegetables, not the fruit, seeds, whatever. That's the difference. So when people say, I'm going to eliminate carbohydrate from my diet, well, you need to be very specific about which carbohydrate you're removing. We'll be back.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Anxiety Free is a powerful formula for the relief of anxiety and stress, designed to increase feelings of well-being, build resistance to fatigue and tension, counteract stress, and reduce irritability.
Anxiety Free, when we built it, it was important to us that we not only helped people with their anxiety as they see it, but also support the body in the damage that can happen from the nervous system being run too hard.
Anxiety Free is more for the individual that has a lot of pressure coming down on them. So if they tend to have a lot of fear, worry, apprehension, anxiety, obviously, then Anxiety Free is more for that individual. This is another classic example of helping to feed the adrenal glands, because again, if you're under constant stress, whether that be physically, emotionally, if you're just constantly work, and then at home you just want to crash, you get a full 8 hours of sleep, then you wake up and you're still tired, that's a reason to help support the adrenal glands.
When you look at anxiety and how it impacts your body, there's a couple of things that happen. One is, of course, you don't feel as good. And the reason why that is because you release a lot of adrenaline, you release a lot of cortisol, you're worrying, you don't feel as good. When we built Anxiety Free, it was important that we nourish the nervous system, and then we use some key herbs that are really precious in Ayurvedic medicine, meaning that they're from India. Holy basil is one of those, and then ashwagandha.
These are really classic supporters and critical supporters of the adrenal glands, and they're adaptogens. They help the body adapt to whatever situation it's under. So if you're under a lot of pressure, if you're under a lot of stress, ashwagandha and holy basil are kind of there to help support that individual. We have the B vitamins in there. We have the mental support, which is the GABA and L-theanine. And L-theanine, you could also find it in per se green tea. And then from that, we also have the calming herbs, the lavender, lemon balm, passion flower. These are really, really good to help support the nerves.
Your health's going to be better because you didn't have this elevated stress as high as it would have been without the help of these herbs and vitamins and amino acids that help your body deal with stress and anxiety.
For more information, please visit us at rcherbals.com.
Not only do we tell you what is going on, not only do we tell you why it's going on, but then we tell you how you might be able to counter what's going on. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Doesn't do any good to lay out a problem and don't provide a solution. So you hear me talk a lot about obesity. You heard me go on, boy. I was pretty. I'm sure I sounded pretty animated about this new study in the British Medical Journal, how these food companies are just doing terrible things in importing their products into these cultures, other cultures, and lying about what the obesity epidemic is all about and how that they're not implicated in it and that exercise is the best way to do this, and lobbying government officials left and right, China being one classic example. This study is really making China safe for Coke. That's part of the title if you're looking for that study. You read that, and boy, it'll open your eyes. And that's exactly what they're doing in these other countries. It's exactly what they've done in this country and are still trying to do. They're still trying to do it. That's why this obesity epidemic won't abate. You cannot put a fire out if somebody keeps reigniting the fire. I mean, I'm not a forest ranger, but you get my metaphor. And that's what this obesity epidemic is. It's a fire that keeps getting reignited. You hear me talk constantly about this theory, that therapy, whatever, to try and get this obesity epidemic under control. And we can't. Why? Because somebody is still in the forest striking matches and keep lighting the fire. In other words, the food culture hasn't changed. In fact, it's changed for the worse. And you have all these, using my metaphor, all these combustible materials all around, and they keep getting ignited, meaning these fast foods, processed foods. That is the culprit with the sugary beverages. You say, well, it's exercise. People are not exercising. They're playing too many video games. That's true. They are not exercising, and they are playing too many video games. But being sedentary is not what's getting them fat and obese. It's the food that they're eating in excess, these unhealthy foods. Would it help a little if they exercise? It might. Might make them feel good, but if you think it's going to help them lose weight when they continue to eat the same way, you can't exercise your way out of obesity. I said it. You cannot exercise your way out of obesity unless you change the diet. My God. And they're going to China and telling the Chinese government, I have this program in China called Happy 10, where the kids every day get up and exercise for 10 minutes. Well, yahoo, big deal. They could exercise for 10 hours, and it won't get the job done. That article is very complicated, how government and industry in collaboration, in collusion with one another, if I may borrow a term that's flying around in our culture a lot these days, are just destroying the health of the people. That 68, almost 70% of people in our own culture are overweight or obese, for heaven's sake.
That's a lot, Doc.
Go to Disneyland, Disney World, sit on a bench. Almost every 7 out of 10 people that walk by, assuming that's a random sample, is either going to be overweight or obese. And trailing along are the little toddlers that are waddling along in many cases, Gare.
And gnawing on something.
Yeah. What are we doing? This is like robbing a federal bank in broad daylight, and everybody's just sort of standing around, still depositing their money. Nobody's trying to stop it. Well, ironically, we are trying to stop it, but like I said, that other metaphor, I don't want to mix my metaphors. This is like a forest fire that we get under control a little bit, then somebody goes back in and reignites these combustible materials, these fast foods, and it starts all over again. That's why we can't make any headway. We can't get the food. If we think that fast foods are going to go away from this culture, I'm not a fool. I don't let my idealism get in the way of my IQ. I know that's not going to happen. And nor should we try to legislate it out either. If people stop buying it and stop eating it, it will disappear slowly but surely. But until then, not so much. Gary said we got an email, right? It was, and the person said what? A message.
When was that?
About the parents.
Oh yeah, Rufino said that the parents are the ones, blame the parents who feed them.
Well, yes, and I said to you what? Yes and no, right?
Yes,
it's a yes and no. Some of those parents that are feeding these kids fast foods were junk food kids themselves. This is not the first generation. This is like the third or fourth generation of junk food people. Raised on junk foods. So the parents don't know. Many of these parents don't even know any different. That's what they ate growing up. That's what they know. They don't know any. You might think, how could they not know? Why would they know? Why would they know?
It's not taught in school.
Not much. Not much. So many of these parents, Gary and Rufino, are themselves the victims of this junk food conspiracy. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. People know that. But there has been a conspiracy to infiltrate the culture and create a food culture that is not just unhealthy, but dangerous. These are non-communicable diseases. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes are non-communicable. They are brought about, they are called, you know what we call them now? Diet-related diseases, diet and lifestyle-related diseases. They're non-communicable. I can't catch diabetes. I can't catch cancer. I can't catch heart disease. But I can get it from the food I eat and from the way I live. Diet is the best predictor for weight loss. Exercise is not. Ironically, though, or not so much ironically, but diet and exercise together make for the best predictor for weight loss. Diet alone without any other changes will hardly ever, if ever at all, bring about weight loss. got the health question for today. To win a $25 gift. I was telling Gary, I said, I guess I didn't laugh too much today. I was pretty animated, huh? I got worked up, didn't I?
Yeah. You got a little intense there.
Yes, because I know what's at stake. You know, I live this stuff every day, Gary. I know what the numbers are. I know what's happening. And it's you know, it's what I do for a living. And I just can't not talk about it in some passionate way. I don't know how else to do it. Everything, so much is at stake. Listen, you struggled with your weight for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's at stake.
Yes.
So you're an adult. What do these little kids know? They don't, you know, they find themselves being obese. They're 8 years old. People are making fun of them, getting beat up at school, called names, ostracized. Can you imagine what their life must be like? And it's all because of what was fed to them. That's why I get upset. You know?
There's, I know we've talked about it before, but there's a show called This Is Us. And one of the characters struggles with overeating and binge eating.
Mm-hmm.
And they go back to her early childhood when her father would just let her do it.
Mm-hmm. Food is so complicated, man. But, you know, I don't very often get that animated. But when I saw that study and I see what these food companies are doing, I said, you know, I cannot not tell the audience about this. They need to know what's going on. This is done out of our awareness. The general population doesn't know about that. Thank God for those researchers. But anyway, here's the health question of the day. I was talking about a new study, pretty well done. It's a meta-analysis, systematic review and meta-analysis of studies taking a look at carbohydrate. And they found that a high-fiber diet was remarkably beneficial to people in fending off these non-communicable diseases, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer, colorectal cancer in particular. And they recommended, you know, eating foods that are high in fiber. Here's the question. Which of the following foods has the highest fiber content per half cup cooked? Okay. Lentils, lima beans, navy kidney beans, or pigeon peas? Which of the following has the highest amount of fiber for a half cup of the food that's cooked? Lentils, lima beans, navy kidney beans, or pigeon peas? If you have the right answer, you'll win a $25. I didn't make that last one up. They're pigeon peas. You'll win a $25 supplement gift card and a half a cup of cooked fiber. Go ahead.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255.
So this study about the fiber, it found let me just say this. They were comparing eating a high fiber diet compared to rather than focus on fiber rather than glycemic index. And they make a good point. One of the researchers in the study, Dr. Mann, said glycemic index is not as good as dietary fiber when considering whether something is a good carbohydrate containing food. All right? Foods that don't increase blood glucose, for example, may still be high in sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. Let me give you an example. Ice cream has a low glycemic index score, but it is high in sugar. So that glycemic index can be misleading. So they argue that it's better to focus on the fiber. What's the fiber content? So which of the following foods has the highest amount of fiber? And it would be 8 cups. 8 grams. Which of the following foods has 8 grams of fiber per 1/2 cup that's cooked? Lentils, lima beans, kidney beans, or pigeon peas? Which one of those has the highest amount of fiber? And what I highest here would be 8 grams per 1/2 cup cooked. I wonder what it is. You can win a $25 supplement gift card. Maybe I gave you too many choices. Let me see here. What if I reduced it down to, would it be between lentils or pigeon peas? Which one of those two has 8 grams of fiber per 1/2 cup cooked? Lentils or pigeon peas? 877-897-8255. An increase in dietary fiber has health benefits. Brian Power, a dietitian and lecturer at the nutrition lecturer in nutrition at the University of College London. An increase in dietary fiber has health benefits, and it takes only small changes in diet to increase a health benefit. A person can add 8 grams of fiber in their diet with a breakfast of bran flakes, whole grain, 4 dried apricots, and a handful of almonds. That sounds yum. That's not a forced march through the jungles of Burma during the summer. That's not hard to do. Got the phone lines lit up. Lentils or pigeon peas? Which one has 8 grams of fiber per 1/2 cup cooked? Thank you for tuning in today. I know I was very animated about that story, but that's just sometimes I just can't. My passion for doing the right thing for all of us. These companies want to make money. I have no problem with that. But no, don't make money at the expense of people's health and lives. Don't do that. That's not right. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourself. Your health is your wealth, after all. And your health is the wealth of those people in your life that care about and love you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Everyone's raving about the newest botanical superstar hitting the store shelves nationwide.